Hello, brothers and sisters. This is a new week. My name is Prince Ojong, your host. Welcome to our show titled Speak of Africa. We have a lot of great news for you today. But before we begin our new segment, we want to say special thank you to all our viewers. If you are viewing this show for the first time, we encourage you to come back. We encourage you to subscribe. And we also say thank you to our growing number of subscribers. We are forming a community of new Africans, new youth, the people who want to change Africa. That's the people we're putting together. We're forming a critical mass to change the trajectory of the African landscape. For this week, what is this news story like? Well, the news story can be summed up in what I call Trump tragedy. Trump tragedy. That's a play. Back in the days, I used to love literature, Shakespeare, and even Greek drama. But when I look at tragedy, this week we're going to talk about Trump tragedy. Donald Trump, the new president of the United States, made a lot of headlines. He invited 5 African leaders to Washington for a summit, I think a 3-day summit. And some of those countries include Gabon, Guinea-Bissau, Liberia, Mauritania, and Senegal. So only 5 countries. So this is really interesting. You ask yourself, of all the 54, 55 countries in Africa, why did Trump choose only 5 of these countries to come to Washington? In the past, we saw the way Barack Obama and Joe Biden organized summits for Africans. They invited so many people. By contrast, Trump invited only 5. Russia has also been organizing African summits, and Russia invites so many African presidents. Whoever wants to come, Russia will invite them. Similarly, Japan has been organizing African summits. China has been organizing African summits. And most of these summits are very inclusive. They invite almost every African leader. Trump, with his transactional approach, invited just 5. And we'll call it a tragedy because your average African has seen through the games. This is a master class in transactional politics. It's like a joke. It's a mockery. Most Africans are taunting Donald Trump. They look at this like theater, like a play, something that makes people laugh, a comedy, a tragic comedy. That's the way they see the invitation of these 5 African leaders. And when you look at them, they're all presidential puppets. They're all presidential puppets. Gabon, this guy took power, is a French puppet. Guinea-Bissau is a puppet. Liberia, Joseph Boakai is an old politician who doesn't believe in Pan-Africanism. Mauritania, Mohamed Ghazouani is a puppet. Senegal, we have a young guy. Actually, he should not have been really president. Ousmane Sonko should have been president. But Macky Sall sidelined Ousmane Sonko. That's how Diomaye Bassirou Faye became president. But already you can see him by his actions. He's not a true revolutionary. Ousmane Sonko is a true revolutionary, but he was not allowed to become president. So he gave the position to Bassirou Diomaye Faye, who is like his protege. But we know they're going to have a conflict soon because whereas Ousmane Sonko is revolutionary, Bassirou is more a centrist, but he tilts towards the colonial power. He doesn't want to rock the boat. So something is got to give, and we know it's coming soon. So when we look at this Trump summit with all this pageantry, we'll talk about the countries one after another. But before we begin, we want to start with Cameroon. In Cameroon, the Paul Biya regime has finally announced the date of the presidential election, October 12. That's the secret. Oh, Paul Biya has promulgated a new decree announcing the election date. Now that Paul Biya has announced the date of the election, what is happening? Well, a lot of maneuvering is taking place. A lot of maneuvering is taking place. We have a lot of sources at the presidency of the Republic of Cameroon. They're hinting us with a lot of information what is happening in the background. So there's a talk of war going on. First, your average Cameroonian, even those who are in a to the palace, they know that Paul Biya is not in charge anymore. Paul Biya lacks situational awareness. He doesn't know where he is. He pees on his pants. He poops like a little baby. Okay? So Paul Biya is finished. And we even got intelligence that Paul Biya did not even come to officiate during the 20th May celebration. But his wife, femme fatale, Chantal Biya, exerted pressure on him to show up and officiate. So as you can see, Paul Biya is finished. The person who is really holding this regime is Chantal Biya with a team of devilish players. This woman is a femme fatale, a Marie Antoinette. So she has created a group like Oscar Baboke. This group is under a beck and call. She controls them like a marionette. Okay? So they do all her bidding. She places them in strategic places. And she's been doing this for a very long time. She did not just start doing it today. So for a long time, she was placing all these, comment on dit en français, les pions. So these are her tools. She places them strategically in key centers of power, beginning with Ferdinand Gongo. Some people even rumor Ferdinand Gongo is Paramu, but we don't know, we don't have the facts, but they are suspecting that Chantal has even sent Ferdinand Gongo's wife to the Middle East. So Ferdinand Gongo's family is not in Cameroon anymore. While they are gone, she has the time now to spend with Ferdinand Gongo. Then they can play the game of taking over the country. Biya is finished. So what Chantal Biya is doing, she doesn't want the fate that befell Sylvia Bongo in Gabon. She doesn't want this to happen to her. So she's taking all the precautions to coup-proof the country, to make sure that Ferdinand Gongo should be the next president. When Ferdinand Gongo takes over power, then she is certain to remain in the country. She'll be running things in the background. That's her plan. But other people who are in Kondengi, which is Cameroon's major maximum prison, they are saying Chantal's plan is going to fail. The same way the plan of Sylvia Bongo failed, Chantal's plan is going to fail. And as they say, man proposes, Chantal proposes, but God disposes. Chantal's plan to run over Cameroon, to take over the Biya legacy, Biya dynasty, is not going to work. So a lot of Cameroonians, especially the politicians, know the truth. Even stalwarts of the Biya regime, they are making their exit. They are not supporting the Biya regime anymore. Ferdinand Gongo has tried to organize a meeting to plan the launch of Biya's campaign. But most of these people know that Ferdinand Gongo is staging his own presidency. He wants to become president, and this is the moment. The moment has come for Chantal Biya to make Ferdinand Gongo president. Laurent Eso, this week, has said, oh no, I'm not playing that game. I'm not a fool. We're not going to support Ferdinand Gongo as president of Cameroon. René Sadi, who is another stalwart of this regime, he also came out also opposing Chantal's plan to take over the country and hand it to Ferdinand Gongo. So the plan is simple. Stage a fake election, pretend that Biya, who is a corpse, has won this election. Then you turn around a few days later and say, okay, Ferdinand Gongo is taking over from Paul Biya. That's the plan, guys. That's the plan that Chantal has cooked. And she has presented this to the French. The French has accepted this plan. But the only problem in this arrangement is most of this elite from the north, like Bello Buba Maigari, do not like this plan. Issa Chiroma do not like this plan. Usman May do not like this plan. And you know the north cuts a very big swath of territory in La République du Cameroon. So when they detach themselves from this regime, it means a lot of chaos. And we can tell you, the people who were afraid of Paul Biya are no longer afraid of Biya. So there's a whole lot of chaos. So we know that the election of October 12 might not even take place. Because Russia is also making plans behind the scenes. Okay? Russia is planning to stage a coup d'etat. And part of the plan is to capture the team, that is the security detail that is protecting Chantal, is to capture her. Once they capture her, she's like the head of the snake. Then it will be easy now to get Biya, because Biya is finished. Once Chantal is captured, the coup d'etat becomes successful, because Chantal will not be able to give commands anymore. Then the new coup leader will take over, just like Ibrahim Traoré in Burkina Faso, and start running Cameroon. The French are very much afraid of this scenario, which is why they are testing different trial balloons. Should they test the Chantal plan, or should they test the northern plan between Issa Chiroma and Bello Boba Maigari? You guys should know the opposition is coalescing, and they are coalescing. A lot of the guys in the Biya regime are crossing the fence to the opposition. Maurice Kamto wants to be the de facto leader. There are negotiations that are taking place. Should it be Maurice Kamto? Should it be Bello Boba Maigari? Should it be Ferdinand Gongo? So a lot of people want to be president. So the Biya era has pretty much ended. We can tell you this, so you don't need to worry about it. Okay? Next, we take you to the Central African Republic. Well, the Central African Republic was not invited to Trump's summit, but we know they are trying to make some peace. Ashanti Touadera wants to run. The elections that were supposed to take place have been postponed. So the elections will not even take place, but there's still chaotic violence in the Central African Republic. Gabon, yes, Brice Oligui Nguema was invited by Trump. He too was touting the minerals, the natural resources his country has, and these resources are at the disposal of Donald Trump. So when you watch what is happening at the White House, it was like King Trump is there with his subjects, slaves from Africa. They do his bidding. Brice Oligui is a military guy, but he's Trump's slave. So you look at the colonial mentality still reigning in this part of the world. Then what about Guinea-Bissau? Guinea-Bissau is a place that has always had a lot of chaotic elections. So Embalo Sissoko, the president of Guinea-Bissau, he also was touting the resources his country has. So he wants to give them away to Donald Trump. So Donald Trump was holding court. He was just like the king. I call him King Trump. He was holding court. But we get a reprieve when we take you now to Ivory Coast. In Ivory Coast, we've been telling you about how the old guard has been trying to wrest power away from Alassane Ouattara. It has not been working. They have all been sidelined. But this week, we've seen a new crop of young people, outsiders, who want to challenge Alassane Ouattara for the position of president in Ivory Coast. We even have a beauty queen. Okay? We have a beauty queen who is also contesting. We have a pastor. So all these popular figures are contesting. They call them the outsiders. Can the outsiders break the lock jam, the hole that Alassane Ouattara has on that presidency? That's the question inquiring minds want to know. In Liberia, we see Joseph Boakai, who is a president. He was also welcomed to Washington by Donald Trump. There was so much comedy around it because Trump was referring to his beautiful English. Trump does not even know that Liberia was formed from the word liber, which means liberty. Liberia was formed from Americans who left the United States, slaves who left here to form a new country in Africa. And they became the bourgeoisie. The conflict, civil war which took place in Liberia was a conflict between these American-originated Liberians with the native Africans fighting for supremacy. Samuel Doe was one of those African aborigines. Then you have people like Tolbert, whose ancestors came from the United States. So when you say, oh, Joseph Boakai speaks excellent, beautiful English, Mr. Trump, you don't know history. You come, I will teach you history. I'm not a history professor, but I can teach you history. Okay? Thank you, Mr. Trump. Come to my history class. We'll take you now to Mauritania. Mauritania was invited. Mauritania is one of those large Arab countries towards the west of Africa, northwest of Africa. Yes, so when you look at this, Mohamed Gouani is a current president. He too was in the White House. But what does he have to offer? Not much. When we look at Mauritania, not a whole lot. But we'll have to remind you, Mauritania remains the last bastion of slavery in Africa. Everywhere else, slavery has been banned, but Africans, black Africans like me, are still enslaved in Mauritania. So that's what we want you to remember today. Are we happy with Mauritania? No, they are still enslaving a lot of our people. So we need to draw awareness to this. That's what this show is for. Then what about Nigeria? Well, some of you must have heard about the demise of Muhammad Buhari, the former president of Nigeria. This guy was in power for so long, spent all his time. He was a sick man. He spent all his time doing medical treatment. But why did he want to be president? Just to have his name in the record books. I was the president of Nigeria. Now he's gone, and I don't think Nigerians are even missing him. Interestingly, Nigerians are not even talking much about the death of their president. So that just tells you they don't really value him. They feel he did not do much to help them. So they just want to forget about him. It's like a chapter of a book that you don't want to read again. You just want to just dump it and go. That's what is happening. We've been criticizing the Bola Tinubu regime on this show almost every week. But at least today, they've done something which we have to applaud them. And what is it? They have not done much to help the security situation in Nigeria. We're still criticizing them on that score. What we are drawing attention to most Africans is the fact that this circus Trump organized in the White House was rejected by Bola Tinubu. Bola Tinubu did not respect Trump to come to Washington. Why? Because Bola Tinubu refused to take deportees who were supposed to go to Venezuela in his country, Nigeria. He said, no, I will not accept these deportees from who are supposed to go to Venezuela in my country. I don't want it. So we have to say it is a good sign he stood up to Donald Trump and said, Mr. King Trump, Nigeria will not bow to you. Give that dirty money to somebody else. We will not take the money. We don't want Venezuelan deportees in our country. If Venezuela is refusing to take those people, why is Nigeria and other African countries willing to take deportees from America? America is getting rid of people who have been condemned of crime, rapists and stuff like that. So why should these people go back to Africa? So it reminds me of the old story of Australia. Whenever you were a bad element in Britain, you were deported to Australia. So now Africa has to become the dumping ground for criminals from America, right? We don't support that. And which is why we say this whole game is not good. Then of course in Nigeria still, you can see that the Minister of Foreign Affairs stood up and they decided, oh no, Nigeria cannot welcome deportees from the United States. So we think we have to salute the Bola Tinubu regime. Even your enemy, when they do something good, you have to say thank you. And we think this was a good decision they made. Rejecting Donald Trump's program is a good thing, because why should we be accepting criminals in our continent? We don't need criminals. If America doesn't want criminals, why should we be accepting criminals? That's the question a lot of inquiring minds are asking. So we should have to look at this. Then finally, when we look at Senegal, Senegal is a country that was represented at the Trump circus. We have a young president, Bassirou Diomaye Faye. He became president by accident, I would say. He was a custom official who was a member of the Pastef revolution. The person who was actually supposed to be president was Ousmane Sonko, the prime minister. But he was disqualified. To show a mark of maturity, Ousmane Sonko decided that his followers should vote for his protege, and they did. Today, Bassirou is not really a reformist, and you can see it. He's already sources they have in the country, he wants to give them away to America. So how long are we going to continue selling out Africa? How long? That's the question a lot of inquiry minds are asking. When you watch this video, you have to ask yourself, is it not time for us to stop? And I think a lot of Africans are waking up from what we see. When they watched this summit in Washington, a lot of Africans were not happy. They were taunting Trump, King Trump. They were looking at it like a tragedy. The tragedy of Donald Trump is things are not going to end well. A tragedy, in a Shakespearean sense, is a play in which an individual in high estate collapses because of a fatal flaw in his character, hamartia. Okay? Trump's weakness is overweening pride, and it's going to be his undoing in the African territory. Africans are not ready to give away their minerals, their natural resources to any foreign nation. So these leaders who are making this devilish decision are fighting the wrong war. And a lot of Africans are complaining. They are not just watching by the sidelines. They saw the deal brokered between Rwanda and Congo DRC. Were they happy? No. Many Africans were not happy about that deal because effectively Trump makes America the policeman in Africa. In return, you have to pay the policeman for protection. It's like a pimp. You have a prostitute. She has to pay money to the pimp to get protection. So Trump is pimping Africans, pimping paradise, pimping. So how long are we going to let this pimping continue in Africa? That's the question a lot of young Africans are asking. And they are taunting Trump, taunting Trump. How long is this going to last? It will not last for long. So we have to watch and educate ourselves. Our resources are for Africans. Our resources are not for sale to the cheapest bidder, a guy who will take them for nothing and give us protection. You see why a lot of people are crazy about Ibrahim Traoré in Burkina Faso? You see why people are crazy about Assimi Goïta in Mali? You see why people are crazy about General Tuani in Niger? Yes, because we're talking about sovereignty, African sovereignty. Without African sovereignty, we cannot have good leaders. People like a guy in Gabon, a French stage coup brought him to power. So who do you think he should serve? He will serve the interests of the West. So why are you surprised? Assange Touadéra, he was not invited because they know that he's with Russia. Guinea-Bissau, he was invited, even though people know that this guy does not have a good democratic record in his country. He's always killing people. They know it, but they're inviting him because he's ready to sell his country to America. Mauritania, the new president, Mohamed Ghazouani, is not even well known, but he's ready to sell his country. All of them at the White House talking like little kids. Trump, the colonial master, was giving them orders. And they were talking like little kids. Kids would even speak up. They cannot speak to King Trump. So it's really sad what we're witnessing at the White House. So this week was a terrible week as far as I'm concerned. I don't like it because we were seeing in full display the way we're losing our resources because of a few stupid leaders from our continent. So these leaders need to be held and flogged because they're selling their country. So in the end, what do you think? We've revealed all this information to you, our viewers. Do you get angry like we're getting angry about people who are selling our continent? What should be done about it? So share this video so that this problem can be exposed. Expose them. These people are thieves. Ole, ole, ole. Expose them. Thank you.
Do you need tax preparation services? We can help. Contact PJ Tax Service, America's only full-time income tax preparers. Like the good old doctor, we do not close our doors after April 15th. In fact, we stay open all year round in order to serve you. We are located at 11207A, Lockwood Drive, Silver Spring, Maryland, 20901. Make an appointment today with Prince Ojong, your tax expert. Call 240-350-1131 or visit us on the web at www.pjtaxservice.com.
Selling a service or a product? Need buyers? Use the African Nation TV as a channel to reach many viewers. Act now and call Prince Ojong at 240-350-1131. That's 240-350-1131. Act today.